Ayin Hey Amid Aleph. Kol Shata Noise Bito. If you could marry a woman's daughter, Atanoise Amanuso. No, if you can marry the man's daughter, then you can marry his widow. And therefore that bia didn't ruin her, even if you're a Kohen. Because if you can't marry his daughter, then you can't marry the widow. So the Gemara has to teach us a number of things. What is this fine distinction between the Tanakh and Rabbi Yossi? Mitzri Sheni Ikebinai. Think about it. A Mitzri Sheni is, you're not allowed, a regular Jewish woman is not allowed to live with a Mitzri Sheni. That's a second generation convert from Egypt. So according to that Tanakama, the act of bia with that woman, with this person who's she's not allowed to sleep with, makes her halachic zona, can't marry a Kohen. However, her daughter is a Mitzri Shlishi who can marry who is allowed to be married to Jews. And therefore, according to that Manda Amar, that you can marry the daughter, that bia would not puzzle her. Shneim lo lamdu al mikoin gadol b'amon. Tanakam esaver ki koin gadol b'amona. We follow the template of a koin gadol living with an almon. Ma koin gadol b'amon should be also b'veru poisel ba. The Torah says a koin gadol can't live with an almon, and it says very clearly that she becomes a chalala. She's puzzled. Av kol should be also bavera puzzle. So any bia bavera causes the woman not to marry Kohen. Rabbi Yossi said ki kohen gadol b'amona. Ma kohen gadol b'amona shezaro puzzle upoisel. What is the product of a kohen gadol with amona? A chalala. So she happens to have a puzzle de gazera. That's why she puzzles. Av kol shezaro puzzle poisel. Lafuke mitzri sheni sheins are a puzzle. In the case of living with a mitzri sheni, her child's going to be a mitzri shlishi, which you're allowed to marry. The amar krabanim asher v'odulem dor shlishi avolem b'kal Hashem. So that would be the nafkamina between the Tanakam and Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Oimer, Kol Shata Noise Bito. It relates to the man. If you can marry the man's daughter, then Atanois Amanuso, you can marry his widow. Kol Shiata Noise, you can't marry the man's daughter, you can't marry the Amma. Now, what is the difference? Ma'ike bin Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. And this is a fantastic piece of Gemara. Amr Ula, Ger Ammoni uMoavi ikibinai. A male Ammonite who becomes a ger. Shneim lo lamdu ela mikoin gadol b'almon. For Rabbi Yossi, server koin gadol b'almon, ma koin gadol b'almon, shezar apostle poisel. The product of a koin gadol b'almon is a chalala. So since they have apostle de gezerah, she's apostle herself. Of course, shezar apostle poisel. That creates the rule. Rav Shimon Gamliel ke koin gadol b'almon, ma koin gadol b'almon. Shekol zaro apostle. Any child that a kohen gadol and an almona have together, whether it's male or female, it's going to be invalid. Be halal or halal. Av kol shekol zaro apostle afilu nekevos. Lafuki ger moni moavi. If a ger amoni male has a daughter, so she's now female amoni. Nekevos avikshes lava bakol. A female Ammoni can marry. David HaMelech's great grandmother was Ruth, who was a Moaviyah. The Amar Mar, Amoni v'lo Amonit, Moavi v'lo Moavit. So that's a nice nafkamina. Amar Rav Chizak kol moedim v'almona Isa, shepsula l'kohuna. And Almana Isa it's a suffix whether her husband was a halal or not. Everyone agrees that such an almana is pasal l'kuhuna. Man mekel bani tanoi, Rav Shimon Gamliel. Who was the more lenient? Rav Shimon. The Karma kol shatanos bito. He said the rule is if you could marry the daughter, atanos amanuso, right? Because of the Moavit. What is it coming to exclude? That if a woman was married to a man and he died, and we don't know what the husband was, he might have been a halal, psula lakuna. La'afuke minahani tanoi. Did not. Hey, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Al almonas isa sheksheri lakuna. My time of the sveka. Two suffix. Number one, it was a suffix that whether the husband was apostle. Space said, Baila who's suffix.
She's a suffix.
So it's just a double suffix. We can be makel. And the halacha is, we say lechatchila they shouldn't marry the daughter, but if they marry, you don't have to force a divorce. The one suffix is that she was an Eishes Halal. Or maybe we're not sure that this woman was married to the Halal. And even if they were married, maybe he wasn't a Halal. Then the Mishnah said, Vadon bevadon mutter. A Vadai Mamzer can marry another Vadai Mamzeres. But the Sveikos cannot marry each other. He brought the Mishnah that said 10 Yuchsim came, and all the Psulim were allowed to marry. And you say that the Mamzerim cannot marry the Shisuki and the Asufis. V'rami de Rava de Rav, v'rami de Shmuel. I'm going to show you a stira in Rav and Shmuel. The Itmar. Arusa she'ibra. A woman was given Kiddushin and then she was found to be pregnant. Now, was she pregnant from the man who gave her Kiddushin or from a stranger? Rav Amar Avlad Mamzer. That we must think that she became pregnant from another man and she was an Eishes Ish. So the Vlad is a Mamzer. Shmuel Amar Vlad Shasuki. We don't know who the father is. We have no proof that it's a Mamzer. And maybe the father was the one who gave her Kiddushin. Rav Amar Vlad Mamzer Mutter Mamzeres. Rav said it's a Mamzer and he can marry another Mamzeres. And so in a sense, by Rav making him a Vadai Mamzer, he's more lenient. Because at least there's someone for him to marry. Shmuel Amar Avlad Shasuki, V'asr Mamzeres. Comes out that Shmuel asers a suffix with a Vadai. So you have to say Epuch. Sharav Amar Avlad Shasuki, because we just quoted previously that the halacha is Rak Eliezer in the name of Rav, that he doesn't allow the Sveikas to marry the Vadais. So we have to switch and say Rav is the one who says the Vlad is Shasuki, and therefore it ends up prohibiting a mamzeres. Ushmol Amar Avlad Mamzer, Umutir Mamzeres. So Tarti Lamali. Why do I need this machlokas? It seems to be superfluous. Tzricha. We need it. The it merbaha. If the Mishnah talked about a single girl who gave birth to a shasuki, maybe b'hakam a rav. Mishum sharav ksher metzla. A single girl, most men are kosher for them. Aval Hassam by an Arusa, Sharov Psumatza, most men are prohibited to her. Maybe he'll agree in that case that the Vlad is a mamzer. Vidmer Bahach, and if I only had the case of the Kidushin woman, Bahaka Amar Rav, that the child is a Shisuki, Mishum de Ikalamitla Ba'arus. You have a reason to say, well, maybe the father is the guy who gave her Kiddushin. But by a Pnuya, he would agree with Shmuel that the Vlad is certainly a mamzer. So Tzricha. V-boy Sam, if you want Lolam Loitek, don't switch the Shitas. My mamzer to come Rav, Lav Mutter b'mamzeres, Ella Osir b'vas Yisrael. What he meant, mamzer, and he can't marry a Bas Yisrael. Ushmul Amar Havlad Shasuki Sha'asr B'Vas Yisrael as well. Ihachi Hainu Derav. It's the same shita. Lamai Shasuki. It's not what we understand Shasuki that we don't know who the father is. Shemeshaskina or Somidin Kuhuna. If the father was a Kohen, we don't consider the child a Kohen because we don't know. Shita, Hashtamidin Yisrael, we're not even going to let him be a full-fledged Jew to marry people. Midin Kunim a boy. Certainly, we're not going to make him a Kohen. That means if the father died and left over Yerusha, he can't claim a share of the Yerusha. So Pshita miyadin avuma, we don't know who the father is. Lo yitzricha shetofas. This kid who was born grabbed assets of the man who gave Kiddushin to his mother. He claims he's his son. According to Shmuel, we take the assets away from him. V'boy say mashtuki b'duki. Sheboit kines imo. We question the mother, Voimeres lekosher nivalt. And she says, the man was kosher to me, nemenes. She's believed. Now, Kemat, from Gamliel, that's the machloikas there that we learned before Nivames. Amr Shmuel Chadazimna. Shmuel already taught us this not. You have a single woman, Shaisim Uberes, who's found to be pregnant. Who is the father? And she says, Meish Ploni, the Koinu. Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Ezra, Omer Nemenes, she's believed. Rabbi Shmuel, Omer Eino Nemenes. Varmi Ramar Shmuel, Rabbi Gamliel. So Shmuel Paskins already like this. Why do we have to be taught it again? Tzricha. Since she was a single girl, most men would permit it to her and would be kosher. But a woman who was given kiddushin, where majority of men are puzzled to her, maybe amalo, maybe she would not be believed. Tzricha. So we have to be told the halach. So the halacha is if a woman who was given kiddushin becomes pregnant, she's still living in her father's house, and she says it's from the man who gave me Kidushin, and he admits, or he's not there, the Vlad is kosher. And if the Ora says, I don't remember, it's also considered his son, even for Yerusha. But if the man who gave Kiddushin disagrees with the woman and says, no, it's not my child, the Vlad is a mamzer, like Rav. If he's not there for us to ask, or the woman says, I don't know who the father is, then it's a suffix mamzer.
Well, do we know she was married?
She was given Kiddushin by the man.
But she said they both denied it, though.
I went through this already. 3 different halachas. Man gave her Kiddushin, and she became pregnant. And she claims it's from the man who gave her Kiddushin. And he admits, or he's not there, the child is kosher. If the man who gave Kiddushin says, I don't remember, it's considered his son, even for Yerusha. If the man disagrees and says, it's not my child, and she said it was, the child is a mamzer. This is the machlokes between Rav and Shmuel. We paskin like Rav. If he's not there to be asked, or she says, I don't know who the father is, then it's a suffix mamzer. Very interesting halacha. If the woman says that the one who slept with her was the man who gave her Kiddush, and he disagrees, she's not a halachic zona. And if she got married to a Kohen afterwards, we don't force a divorce. But she can never go back and live with the man who gave her Kiddushin. Because by him saying it wasn't him, he made her into a shtik nevela. Because if a man sleeps with your wife, you're not allowed to live with her again. So since he's denying it was him, he can make her usher to him. But his testimony cannot usher her to other people. And she can still marry Cohen. Or at least, if she marries a Kohen, we don't force a divorce. Tanya, v'chein Rav Eliezer Omer, kusi lo yisa kusis. Why not? My timer. Rav Yosef asu kiger lachar sardoros. He remains a ger. The Tanya, ger arasar doiros muter b'mamzeres. A ger can marry even 10 generations later a mamzeres. After 10 generations, become ve'elech also b'mamzeres. Because people don't remember that he was a ger. And a kusi that became part of Klal Yisrael, we don't remember where their original source is. If people still remember that he was a product of Goyim, so he can continue marrying the psulim. Why do you compare it to a ger? Hasam, ger yasham. The ger, he might have been a ger a long time ago. Umamzeres chadosha. We know this is a mamzeres. So Amri Bar Yisrael because mamzeres. People will say, "Oh, there's a regular Jews marrying mamzeres." But here the kusi who's marrying a kusis, it's not a problem. They're both the same. If she's being considered a Yisrael, then he's being considered Yisrael. Kiyas Rav Dimi Omer Rav Elazar Savak Rabbi Shmuel. And we'll see exactly who the Kusim are. tomorrow when we learn the blood tomorrow. We'll explain the sugya tomorrow very well. Okay, so tomorrow, we'll learn at 7:15 because it's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock is at Surba, and I want to make sure we finish on time. So we'll learn the daf at 7:15 and then Surba at 8 o'clock.
Ishkach, ishkach.